be fearless. You're going to be fine. Don't give up. You are brilliant. You are creative. Fall, but get right up. It's all right to trip, but get up.
Welcome to Season 3 of the Amani Experience podcast. In this podcast, you will experience wisdom, advice, and stories from creatives all over the world. Your host is the award-winning Amani Roberts, who is a DJ, music producer, professor, author, and undercover gamer. On the show, we love to share the stories of creative professionals, especially people who have gone from the corporate life to the creative life. Once again, welcome to the Amani Experience podcast.
Welcome to episode 126 of the Amani Experience podcast. For this show, we have Kay Lawal Muhammad with us. Mama Kay is the artistic director for a nonprofit in Baltimore called Wombwork. Three of my favorite things, among many things this episode, is that Kay was completely honest throughout the entire show. Her honesty was very refreshing. Second, as you'll see from the beginning of the show to the end, she's hilarious, funny. She's probably one of the funniest people I know in life. And then Kay has been to hell and back many times. So her perseverance, her resilience, you can tell through some of the stories she shares throughout the entire episode. It's very inspiring. I think some of the stories she shares will catch you as well. I know you're going to love this episode. Hope you enjoy it. To reach me, you can email me, podcast@amaniexperience.com. Feel free to follow me on all the socials at Amani Experience. And as always, you can donate to the Patreon, which is patreon.com/Amani Experience. Thank you very much for listening, and to the show we go. I would like to welcome Kay Lawal Muhammad to the Amani Experience podcast.
Woo! Thank you for having me.
We are excited to have you here. Tell us where we are right now.
We're at my house in Baltimore, Maryland.
And we do a geographical check, and usually tell the listeners, where did you grow up?
I grew up here in the city.
Right
city. In Baltimore.
Okay. All right.
Hard life in the city and a great life.
Yes. Yeah. So hold that closer.
Yep.
And then you went to Morgan State.
Morgan State University all day.
All right. And
probably all night. Took me forever to get out.
What was your major there?
Theater arts. I'm a theater arts person. Yep.
Yes.
Totally.
True. And then once you graduated from Morgan State, what did you do then?
Well, I got married while I was a senior. I got married and began to have a family right away. So I was 21 and got married and started having children. So that was a lot. You know what I mean? You never think of that. But I did start having a family very swiftly. You know, I started auditioning sometimes. I got a few parts here and there in places. But I also had to think about raising my children.
Yeah.
So it was a lot to try to get, the balance so quickly. I didn't think about it at the time, but it was a lot to balance. But that was my life.
What were some of the roles you got initially when you first started auditioning?
A Homicide, the television show, Homicide, The Wire, The Corner. My dear friend Pat Moran is a casting director, so she always looked out for me. And I was a part of a comedy team called the Thunder Thigh Revue, and we toured all over the country, all over Europe, and that was a great fun, and that was a great strengthening of me finding my voice in the arts, in theater. Yep.
So how did your experience with the Thunder Thigh Revue shape your career?
I think a lot, in that I worked with such a strong personality, was my comedy partner. Not only was she very versed in singing and performing, but she was a visual artist and a high-level visual artist. So she was very well known on the art scene. Mm-hmm. And me jumping on her coattail was helpful at times. So that was helpful that I was kind of like deeply in the art community with, certain relationships. So that was exciting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you've performed all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Where have been some of your most favorite places you have performed?
Amsterdam was one. I was not sober when I first came to Amsterdam. So Amsterdam had its great moments. So I did, Edinburgh. I went Ireland, England. We did a little Paris hit. We did, we did Europe, Canada. We did a lot in Canada. Canada really likes comedy a lot.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Everywhere that people would have us, that liked big thunder thighs and liked to laugh. So,
what was the Thunder Thigh Review? Like, explain what that was. What was your kind of subject matter? What did you talk about?
We talked about being full-bodied women. And still being very sexy and politically astute, and to be taken seriously. I think a lot of times, I think it's a little different now but we were a main voice about looking at a full-bodied woman as a power hitter, both physically. And for us feeling really good about ourselves body-wise. I think that was an important voice to have because, a lot of times full-bodied people were always teased and treated in a certain way. So we were that voice in that time. There's a lot more voices now that have stood up, but we feel that we were trendsetters.
Trendsetters? Trailblazers, for sure.
Big mamas all day!
Well, the funniest people I know, as you all can tell, for sure. So then we found our way to Wombwork Productions.
Right.
How did that come to be? What was the genesis of that?
Well, I made a slight mention about a part of that with all the wonders of life was also I'm an addict. I'm a recovering addict, but I was an addict. While in my first trip to Europe, I think I was trying to kick a cocaine habit at that time. I met some friends. In fact, a very famous man, I don't know if I should mention his name, he's passed away now, but he was very famous. Anyway, he took me to an AA meeting and stuff. I started getting clean actually in Edinburgh at one point. So with that, me beginning to work on my recovery and getting honest about my drug addiction as well as doing performing work. When I came back, I began to really began to be honest about I have a problem. And I began to work with some people that also had problems and wanted to do something creatively about recovery. Mm-hmm. And I started an organization called Actors Against Drugs. And we all played different drugs, and we did a correspondence thing, and we went all around, and we got big contracts. It was a big thing now, especially in the workforce, because the drug problem was a big problem, and they wanted to put money in a lot of the places before they had everybody locked up and put away. They kind of threw some money around, and we got some of that money, and I tried to work on that recovery. Of course, I relapsed sometime in between those times and everything else, but that sparked me creating topical issues and combining therapeutic processes with the arts. That was the beginning of that. Mm-hmm. And even following with that, but I found that was both powerful. Now, what I had to find out, that wasn't therapy. It was therapeutic.
Got it.
So a little later on, I had to get some real therapy because I kept saying, why do I keep falling back into this trap?
Right.
Because it wasn't therapy. And it wasn't, me really working on my, I was dropping in and out of working on my recovery.
Right.
So that started. So that gets us back to the question, how did Wombwork? Because of me realizing the healing effect of the arts. Right there, that I could use this thing, this creative bend that I have, to begin to heal myself and to help others heal using the arts.
Right.
That's how it began. That's how I began to say, hey, this is something. And I began to realize that it could be used in a lot of different places. And I started, got in some other, my first husband and I divorced, was in a bad relationship, a domestic violence kind of a relationship. So I began to get out of that and began to talk about recovering from that, doing theater pieces about that. And, because these were my own experiences. I began to work in, Baltimore, the HIV issues. I worked in the HIV field. I began to create theater pieces about that, whatever it was. And Mama Rashida and Mama Walk on Water, or Mama Nataska, we had been friends for years, and both of them had been in the arts. And we'd always been doing spiritual work, whether it was meditation. Mama Walk on Water is a Native American energies, and we would go and do sweat lodges, and we would meditate and pray and do a lot of work in all sorts of communities. So that was a part of the healing process, those spiritual, African-centered, Native American-centered, that was all a part of our artistry. And all of those things began to build, and we said, what is this? We got something here. Right. You know what I mean? And then I realized I come from, as you know, my bloodline are educators. And I always thought, they're really brilliant. I don't even have good handwriting like them. I'll never be what they are. But it's in my blood to educate. And when I stopped fighting it and realized I love this, I love taking this strength of artistry and adding it to education. So then I began to take it seriously, because I would make a couple of dollars. So then you begin to say, hey, I might have something here. So that's how it bloomed. Yeah. And then it's built and built and built. And it's getting bigger in that at this time, that I am 63, I figure I have about maybe 7, 9, 10 more years.
A little longer than that.
I'm just saying, doing it, but what the process now is turning it over to the younger.
Got it.
That's the process. And I think it's very important as you move toward elderhood, that without fighting that process, because a lot of us do, like we don't want to let go, is these brilliant young people, musically and talented and dance and brilliant and business.
Yes.
Can bring so much more in strengthening an organization.
Agreed.
So that is a part of that whole process of how I got to this. There's been a lot of kicks and a lot of pain.
Right.
But all of that I bring to the table. I think some of the young people, particularly older folks, love that I can share about my drug issues, my weight issues, because that's an addiction. That's the one addiction my last one. I gave up cigarettes. I gave up drugs. I gave up cocaine. I gave up this. And now I'll never give up food.
Have
But having control.
Understood.
Is a big thing. And as I move into the seniority of my life, I do want to be able to say I work diligently on all of these things to be a better human being.
Amen. What is it about the arts that has such strong healing powers?
The spiritual elements of creating. I think creating and sharing truth is like, wow. You know what I mean? And when you can begin to not only open yourself up, which was the first piece, the power came from me when I realized I could help open others up. And I was able to let go of ego and not just I want to be the pretty fat star. I'm still cute. But when I began to realize I can open up other people, and now I hear people say, Mama K, I do this because of what you did for me. And I'm like, you fucking wrote a book. You did this for me? I helped you with that, yeah. You know what I mean? Or anything that I could be a part of the opening of a human being.
Right.
That's wow. That's medicine there, man.
It is.
So that's what I love. I don't even crave it. I just do it. You know what I mean? It's not even, it's like, just give it. You know what I mean? And this city, whoo, in Baltimore City schools, county schools, and then probably cities all over the country. But it's a lot needed.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference for young people particularly to see a person that's sincere, that is not afraid to open up and share everything with them, help them to find their voice in the arts. It's a real powerful process that I really dig it. I really do dig it. And every day I'm learning something new. So,
What advice would you give someone who is a creative, but maybe a little younger, that's struggling with like any one of the addictions you mentioned, to try to get through that so they can really unleash their creative soul?
I would say first, just get honest. Honesty is the key. You know, and let me say this. It wasn't just the addiction, and you know this because we have close bloodlines. It was coupled with mental illness. That's the big key. And that's what it is across the board usually.
Right.
You see? So most times in our community, we're self-medicating.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had anxiety. I didn't know that I was just trying to feel calm and cool. And, to be able to step out. And, a lot of times I was in the bathroom. I had big auditions for Comedy Central, all kinds of stuff. I never made it out the bathroom, the audition, because I was that scared. And most of the time it's fear. And helping folks see, that sometimes we might need to go see a therapist, we might talk to somebody. If medication is needed, you're going to have to do that, and you have to be consistent with it. But I feel strongly that in most cases, people are self-medicating just to get through. And once they get honest about that and kind of come up with, and it's going to be different for everybody. You might need yoga with it. You might need to jog with it. I fast 3 times a week now. That's me, because I could eat I could eat the world. But I had to begin to get in control of the thing that's been my first addiction.
Right.
Is the food, which is a weird one because you can't give it up entirely.
No,
you can't give a shit up entirely. I would love to. So this is my last one.
All right.
You know what I mean? That I'm trying to have control of. And I think even the young people, I share everything with them. Sharing that, Mama K, you're not eating today. I said, this fast day, gotta be, I gotta find control of this thing. Because it's about really learning to love yourself. And it's a lot of self-hatred. And, young people go through so much.
Yes, they do.
You'd be surprised how they run in households and they doing something. We've done pieces on gangs, and sometimes when you hear the story, some of these gang members, they just trying to raise a household and they did this for protect, all kinds of stuff. We've done, you name the topic, we've done it. And it becomes an analyzing and really finding the human spirit in every piece. And there's a human loving spirit in everything, in the saddest, most horrendous story. Yeah. And we find that and we work from that and build on that. And I don't even know what the hell you asked me.
It's good. It's good.
Just like you're rambling at this point.
It's good. It's good.
Rambling.
We'll segue. We will segue now where you are today. Mm-hmm. How would you summarize yourself where you are right now in 30 seconds or less?
Just enjoying the process. I ain't there yet.
Right.
But I really feel good about my relationships. I feel good about where I am and headed. Good. You know what I mean? Not there yet. Nowhere near.
Yeah.
But I feel good where I am headed. And beginning to be thoroughly honest with myself, which allows me to be honest with others.
Well said. The next question is for you, what do you think is important for creative professionals such as yourself, myself, we're both creative professionals, to succeed in today's business environment? What's important?
Learn all you can. Be fearless. I'm talking to myself too, but be fearless. Learn as much, anything that excites you, tackle it. Go for it. But that fearless piece, because a lot of times we hide. I know for a long time I bullied covering up my fear. And a lot of times, you know, when you see those tyrants and those bullies, they scared as shit. And because, you know, the brother on the street, they can box that. Elliot come in and tell some of them jailhouse stories. You can see that. That's the main one that's really scared. And, you know, that can be seen.
Right.
You know what I mean? That can be seen in the spirit and the heart, and you crack. So even when I'm fearful, I'm going to be honest about it. You know what I'm saying? I just feel it's the way. But I don't even know what the question was, man.
That was good.
No, I don't even know what the fuck we
What's
talking
important?
about. What's going on?
You said it's
What
important.
time's dinner?
It's important for creative professionals to succeed. So being fearless,
Right.
that's the
And honest.
and honest,
And
definitely.
honest.
Yes.
Even when you don't know, honest.
Yes. To say you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
And the other thing, I don't care. And when people should just say, I don't really give a damn.
You funny.
That's true.
What would you say to people who let fear stop them from pursuing their dreams?
I think I may have been victim of that myself. And like I said, I had no idea that the anxiety, as I mentioned, and the drug usage was a way to just not try because I was so fearful of. And some people can, you know, get in it and not, and still even induced by substances can still go for it and come off a brilliant thing. But later on you hear from them or hear an interview, they weren't even aware of any of it. Or their personal life was so scarred that you had no idea. I mean, some can put on the, you know, the mask and go get out there. You know, I think I was somewhat, but I think my anxiety had me to, even after a while, auditioning was very difficult.
Really?
Yeah, it started very, very difficult. And sometimes you self-sabotage yourself because you want out or you really want help. You know what I mean? And you know, everybody's, oh, she got an audition for this. She doing this, she doing that. And you purposely, either late, fuck up, whatever, because you're scared and you don't want to succeed. And you know what I mean? And you want help, but you don't know how. And a lot of people do that. Or they get way ahead and then they begin to unravel, which is even scarier to watch. Because you see, they had everything. They ain't shit.
Yeah.
They ain't shit.
What do you feel was the turning point in your career when you finally recognized this is what I'm here to do and I'm off and running? When was the turning point?
I'm still waiting on it. I hope it come before I 80. No. I think that when I really affirmed that I love working with young people and doing this theater thing, any topic matter, it didn't matter. Finding people that may have experienced whatever topic it is, having truths about whatever the topic is, researching it and finding it and hear people's voices and making creative songs, dances to be able to share, and then having maybe therapists in the audience that share or people that have the experience to share, to make it a full therapeutic community experience. That was like, woo, this is something. This is like something new. This is like, woo. And, you know, getting people involved, being able to sign up, because we would do big HIV fairs before it was, you know, any topic, any issue, any health concern, anything, and bring other people in so they could get help with it, whether it was something about people being homeless, you name it, and then, you know, give monies toward maybe helping or doing something. That's real community theater. That's what I call true community arts. Yeah. And that is so satisfying that, you know, not just, and I like the little TV thing and stuff, and I still, you know, I sign up in a minute. I sign up in a minute for it because I realized with that kind of power, I can do more of this.
Exactly.
But if I didn't fall in love with this, I would have never been anxious to do more of that to get more of this.
Was there a particular moment that you fell in love with what you're doing now? Because I usually ask people, why do you love what you do? But you've already explained that. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, was there a specific moment in time when you realized, wow, was there someone you helped or like, you know, where you said, I really love this?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I have loved this since a little girl. You know, being a cute little fat girl, I didn't realize I was so cute because, you know, I had a terrible accident when I was about 5. My mother had bought me a new pair of shoes, and I refused to take them off and fell down the steps, and my eyes, I had black eyes for like years. So I wasn't as the cute little fat chubby girl as I was. And that ruined my career. I think that stopped everything for me. But in all jokes aside, I kind of was the attention getter. And you hunger for that. I think that kind of attention seeking. I don't know why, but I always had it. I always desired to be the center of that. I don't know if it's only child syndrome that I had or whatever, but I did always have a desire to have the attention. And there have been some therapeutic things that I've done and therapy and stuff that made me lay back and say, it ain't always about me. I've kind of grown out of that. But I still like, over here, me. You know, I still have that desire for that. And I don't know if that's just something that artists, that people have, that we have a desire just to be seen or have attention, or was it because I didn't have brothers and sisters at home, even though I had I had all of them.
Yes, you did.
Because my mom and dad divorced, and so I was with them. They were like my brothers and sisters. But I always desired that kind of attention that I never had. I think I always have hungered for it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, things in my life have made me stabilize a little bit more. A little therapy, a little processes have made me. But it's a hunger, and I hear other artists say they are the same. Mm-hmm. That they have had, you know, in many cases, they've had that same drive or hunger for that kind of attention. I think it's kind of obsessive, though, but it's kind of scary. But
speaking of scary,
yes,
what is something that scares you?
That's a good. I did see that question, and that's a good question. What scares me? I mean, just walking. I live in Baltimore. Just walking from your car to in the house is a little. Sometimes can be a little nerve-wracking.
A little rough.
It can be a little rough, but not fulfilling. Myself totally, you know, scares me. Giving up, you know, totally giving up on this whole idea and not seeing it all the way through. You know, that's scary. That I wouldn't want to do it anymore, or you know, see it to the end, or give or help somebody else. You know, with their dream, which is what's happening now, because people are moving in as the artist. You know. Assistant artistic director, and then moving out and watching that process. If I didn't desire that, that would scare me. If I just wanted just to be me, and for it to die after me, I think that would be kind of scary. Sometimes community scares me. You know, what's happening in community politics and all that crazy stuff. What's going to happen? What's the next move?
Right.
It's a little scary, but, you know, we black folks, so we kind of used to,
keep
you
on
know,
moving.
keep it moving.
Yeah.
You know, some of that stuff don't even bother us. We kind of used to madness. So, but that fear thing is, being fearless is kind of a big thing, because, you know, when you have anxiety, and fear has been a big part of life, of really stepping out and going beyond. 'Cause people say, you're so funny, why you're not a comedian? I've been scared.
Yeah.
I still got it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? To really, you know, to go out there and do an audition or whatever. And people say, I did a show, and people say, why are you not out there doing it?
Yeah.
Don't know.
I'm curious, to run a nonprofit for now over 23 years.
Yep.
It's really difficult, it's challenging, and there's numerous nonprofits. So
That's right.
How do you take Wombwork and rise above all the noise and distinguish yourself from the competition, so to speak?
Well, I think that in some ways we are a little different. I think that the spiritual element, all the meditation, and we do a process called the virtues process. I shared that with you too.
We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, the 5,
yeah.
and using those strategies. So we have some processes that other people don't have. And then we have a team of actors, teachers too. And they're all in the schools and they teach and stuff. And so we have like a big team that does a lot of stuff. And then we're doing the actual performance. So we do kind of like a lot of stuff.
Right.
And sometimes that lot of stuff, people say, wow, it's too damn much. Y'all need to focus in. People have said that.
Right.
But because we got all this stuff, we can always throw something out. Oh, they don't want that? Try that.
Yes.
Try this. Do this. That makes us a little different. From a lot of the other groups, it might just be a teacher organization that goes in and just teaches.
Right.
But we go out, we perform, we do theater, we do regular stuff. We have if somebody said we want a dance show, we can pull all the dances together from our company. Even if they've joined other organizations or have their own, they'll still come back and create something with us. So we have that people are still around. They might not be with us every day, but we can call on a lot of people that can still be under the Wombwork banner. And we can make it happen.
Very unique. I love it. How has a failure or an apparent failure set you up for later success? Do you have a favorite failure of yours?
I don't know if it's a failure, and I think I shared with you about the addiction thing and all of that. And that being that's the whole card for me, because the young people love it. You did what?
Yeah.
You just smoked? I said, no, I did more than that, boo-boo. And they kind of like open up and say, I really need help because I can't do nothing without smoking. Or da-da-da-da, or whatever it is. Or I'm in the game and da-da-da-da-da. And share, and then I share something about, why don't you call this person? See how they could help you.
Right.
See this, try this. Just go to a meeting, try it, and see whatever. Call this person. Ain't no judgment, ain't no nothing else. I've been there, done that. Call me. Or whatever it is.
Right.
There are no limits to what one can share. And, from my own personal story, or I know somebody's story. The brothers on the thing, family members that spend a lot of time in prison. I'm connected to all of those kind of community. And people know that it's kind of thorough because we're not just talking it. If I don't know it, call him.
Yeah.
He know.
Yeah.
Call her. And I think that we are respected as really being a part of the depth of this community. People calling us and know they for real. They ain't playing with it. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
So we love that. You know what I mean? And it makes us respected in some ways. So.
Now, as you've performed all over the world, got numerous awards, you also
Yeah.
acquire more critics or haters, as we call them. How do you handle your critics?
Well, I never heard nobody criticize. No, critics. I hear critics about something about proposal writing. We haven't gotten as many proposals as I hoped, and people have come in and said, "Y'all don't make write the strongest proposals." Those kinds of things have been critical. You always want to have money to keep your processes going on. I've heard more from that perspective. I've had critics where we did, somebody that worked with, we had a show with some young people, and I didn't use my virtues with the young people because they were showing off very much, and we had this big show. And I kind of laid them out, and the woman in the letter said she wasn't happy with the way, and those kinds of things happen. Mm-hmm. Those kinds of things happen. Those are the most of the things, but then later on they come back and say, that happened. Let's try it again.
Right.
Nothing that is, in most cases, is something I learned from. You know what I mean? Even, that I say, I need to keep calm, even under stress, because it's still that anxiety comes in.
Yeah.
Just because I'm working on it don't mean it don't come in. When something go wrong, I can lose it, and then I feel bad. Let's come back to the table. Let's talk this over. Let's use our virtues this time, because I forgot mine. Those moments happen.
Right.
That's being a human being. And even the deepest criticisms can be the growth.
Yes.
The moment of growth. And I guess I said, shit, I'm getting old, because I really feel like they were right. I lost my temper. Maybe I went too far with that. And you learn from it. You know what I mean? And you hope the next time you can do better. Not that you're so arrogant. I don't,
Yeah.
I just feel that way for a minute. I just say that for a minute, but it's over. And they made a good point. Let's see how I can learn from it.
True. Tell us about the darkest time in your life, how you got through that, and what did you learn from that experience?
Well, I told you the darkest times was definitely the drug period. You know, there are always health things and stuff like that go on. I have a daughter that, you know, and I let her share her own story, but has, you know, mental health issues, brilliant, you know what I mean? And when your children go through things, you know, and suicide attempts and that kind of stuff, it's like you feel hopeless for a moment. But the process of what I have gone through helps me to be a strength to her. You know, and she and I have done some radio stuff and shared about it publicly, so I'm sure she won't mind that. But it's those moments that sometimes are very painful, but we've gotten through a lot, and I've learned a lot from her, and she from me. But those are the times that are really like, you know, when people really want to leave the earth based on their mental health challenges. That can be a rough one, but so far, she's still here.
She's still here. Love her. Yes.
She's still here.
With going through all that, how have you been able to be so resilient? Because that's tough, and that can wear on you year after year.
Having a good support system. My husband is really, really a power point in my life. My family too, even though they get on my nerves.
I can relate.
They get on my nerves, but they are. And as you get older, you realize how resilient they are. And though they get on my nerves, I have an aunt. You have an aunt. We have an aunt. Who lately I have begun to respect beyond almost all of the doctors, Ritz, and all of the ones, and that's Carolyn, who has had schizophrenia since a child, since I've known her, but is probably one of the most resilient people that I know, and really is a glue to the family unit, even though she'll call you and bug you to death. I know she does. But I see her, because I'm a little older than you, and I was there during some of the early times before some of these medicines were able to keep one at a level. You know, back in the early 60s and 50s, they had all kinds of medicines that were like, they ain't working. And so this mental health thing, family-wise, is real. That we have a brilliant family that struggles with mental health issues.
Yes.
And it's just the way it is. And we even marry those, we've even, you know, and it's like, that's our tribe, man.
Right.
And the whole thing is to learn from it, to strengthen, to be a stronger tribe, and to keep that bloodline going, and to be honest to our children and fearless, because having a family like that, you like But lately I've been thinking, shit, I don't think I would trade it though.
Yeah.
Because I think I was supposed to have them in order to get through this drug thing, and no, I can do it. I can get through it. The overweight thing, the fasting, and, you know, trying to get through instead of just holding on to stuff just as a crutch. So they ain't bad. They bad, but they ain't bad.
We are right where we're supposed to be.
Good.
So I'm gonna read a quote that you said in the past and talk to you and see why it still resonates with you. You say, "A good laugh never hurt anyone. In fact, humor actually helps promote healing and positivity." Why does that resonate with you?
That's probably my life story. You know, all of these experiences. You know, being able to share them and look at them on the other side of it. Now that's the part. Looking at it on the other side of it is probably the healing light, not just for me, but for so many people I share with, you know, that, you know, going through the same thing. You know, they're like, you know, because I get calls all the time, you know, and about, you know, what your experience, what my experiences were, what should, you know, what do you suggest? and finding, helping them find their path. You know, and it's about you finding your own path. But I can just tell you the route I took, and then you're welcome to come up that same street.
Here we go. Who was the most influential person for you growing up?
That's a good question. You know, my mother was very, very, very strong woman. She was a very strong person for me. My family, period. You know, all of them. Your dad, Al, everybody. All of them were very, very, very powerful people with weak, sensitive points. And I see it. Mm-hmm. You know, I see it with each and every one of us, you know, as a part of the bloodline, I guess. As a part of the bloodline. All of them are extraordinarily powerful people. Extraordinarily powerful people and fragile. And it's a part of who we are. Yeah. We're strong and fragile. That's some shit, ain't it?
Oxymoron.
Strong and fragile. Break it down. It's professional.
For sure. That's going to be the opening clip.
Strong and fragile, man.
Yes. What do you find easy to do that your friends find hard to do, besides make people laugh?
Get up from hell.
Yeah. What would you like to be better at?
Exercising on a daily basis.
I love the honesty. You can say that with a straight face. I love the honesty. All right. Well said. Now, when you were 21, you were here in Baltimore at Morgan State, right?
Right.
We're going to go back and talk to 21-year-old Kay.
Okay. Give
her advice based on all that you know now. What advice would you give your younger self?
Well, you're married now. Be fearless. You're going to be fine. Don't give up. You are brilliant. You are creative. Fall, but get right up. It's all right to trip, but get up.
What is the one lesson in life that took you the longest to learn?
Get up from the table. You full already. You don't need no more. Get up from that table, gal. Get up. Get up, Bob. Get on.
Keep singing. Every great person has a sentence. What is your sentence? For example, my sentence is, I love to help people unlock their creativity by teaching them how to DJ. What is your sentence?
I love making people laugh till they pee on themselves. That's just my thing. I just want them just to urinate from my humor, just like out of control. You know, not on my good couch though. Not on my good couch though. I want you to pee.
Wow.
You're so silly.
I love it. What is one new habit that you've added to your daily routine in the past year or so that has been most beneficial?
The fasting.
Oh, tell us about that. What's your plan? How does it work?
Well, I joined a fasting group I joined Weight Watchers. And I've often on, that's probably one of the better programs. I had to give them up. For me, that had been one of the better programs. And I lost about 30 pounds because we were getting ready to go on a cruise.
Right.
So I had started like a year before, and I said, I got to lose this weight. So I lost about 35 pounds. And Elliot said, my husband said, you ought to start fasting a couple days a week. That would help. So I was fasting Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it was coming off. Not bad, it was coming off pretty good. Then I joined a fasting group online.
Wow.
And one of the member said, you should try consecutively fasting. So I started doing, instead of Tuesdays and Thursdays, I did Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Like the day I'm going to eat because it's holiday.
It's a holiday
That way,
today,
yeah.
yes.
But I'll fast again tomorrow. And it started coming off. So it's like 78, almost 80 pounds now.
Really?
Yeah, so, and that's important, just to have something that brings me more in control of a uncontrollable situation.
How does it work for 3 straight days? Don't you get like weak, lightheaded?
Oh, no, well, I did at first. I did have, what's the condition? I can't think of it. I'll think of it in a minute.
Okay.
But vertigo. I was having vertigo, and that was a need of a certain amount of electrolytes and
Yes.
things that needed to be needed. And then once with this group, they would tell me different things that I should have and try. And during the winter, I do a little broth. During those days, in the evenings, I might have a little broth or something like that. But it's working for me. And I think the biggest part about it is having control. And me having control is like important.
Yes.
Just, so
Okay.
I'm loving that. That's my
Well
thing.
done. Keep it up. I can see the results. I'm proud of you. Keep going.
Now if I could just get on that track and get on that gym.
Baby steps. We'll take it one step at a time. Baby
you
steps.
always make me feel better about my foolishness.
Now, we're really big readers here on the podcast.
Oh,
so
good.
if there is 1, 2, or 3 books you feel people should stop what they're doing and start to read them immediately, what books come to mind?
I wish I could remember titles of books that would be important to read. I'm trying to think. My brain goes dead. You might have to come back so I can think of
You
what
can
it
always
is.
tell us the plot lines as well, too. We can find out the book.
I'm a Toni Morrison fan, and I
Yes.
always have been from Beloved. All of her books, were life-changing to me. Brother Coates and all his books, I went up to see and hear from him, all of his books, and I know his family and everything, so I'm enjoying him and all that's happening for him.
Okay.
So I've been doing some reading. I need to spend time there. Quran, Bible, all of those books, all those holy books are always good to read and to study as well. That make reference to life as it is today.
All right.
Yeah,
We can go with those. Those work.
Yeah.
What has been the best advice that you've ever received?
Love like you just don't care was always a really good one for me. Never give up is one that I used to think was like but it's a real one.
Yes.
Don't no matter what, don't give up. Don't give up. That's the one I hold to, and I never thought that it would be important, but it is.
Very.
Never give up.
Explain to us the process that you go through with the Master Virtues Facilitation and how that's beneficial and what has that taught you?
The 5 strategies of the Virtues Project, speaking the language of virtues, and there are thousands and thousands of virtues, but was probably in the last 10 or 11 years that I've been a part of it has been life-changing.
Yeah.
In learning how to, now to speak to myself, first of all, and helping me in the educational fields, to speaking to young people, and helping them to find a voice, to see the beauty of themselves and of others, and to be able to communicate even for those who you disagree with, but finding a language and even seeing, their virtues, even though you might disagree, you could see strengths and even that. I think is probably one of the most powerful tools that of recent that have helped begin to mold me in some very powerful ways. Yeah.
And the first step if someone wants to get involved is to order the deck of cards, right?
Right.
And go through that. So I have that. So, and then from there, just keep kind of going with
keep
it.
moving, and then get a training.
Yeah.
Begin to take it and take that training. We're going to do a training coming up in January, in fact.
Okay.
So, but I know in California, it's a lot of folks. I've been promising you though.
Yes, we'll get that.
Yeah,
'cause I
that
got
I'm
the
going to
thing.
get you some folks that you can contact so you can get that training.
Love it. Love it. So you big Orioles fan, right? You love your Orioles, right? Or Ravens? Which one do you prefer?
I'm not really a sports fan. My family's
I
insane
know.
for that.
They are insane.
They're insane. And matter of fact, I'm not really at all. Except I'm happy for this young brother.
Yes.
Who I believe
Lamar Jackson. Yes.
Who I believe now that they got the black man up there making it happen.
This is true.
This is true.
Yes.
Because I believe the other guy had severe anxiety.
Oh, Flacco. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think he had. Look, you know me, I do my analysis.
Right.
I believe he had anxiety really
All
bad.
right. We're gonna paint the stage. You're walking out on arena stage for a performance.
Right.
Say it's like a comedy performance.
Right.
Your special a la Dave Chappelle or Chris Rock on Netflix. What's the song that's playing as you walk out onto the stage? Your walkout song.
Thunder Thighs, we salute you.
Oh, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Thunder Thighs, we salute you. We pledge our voluptuous booties. Our thighs are never snooty. They rise to the occasion. Through all kinds of variation, you should rise to the philosophy of our thighs.
I'm gonna have to find that on Amazon. Can I find that on Amazon?
Find it on Amazon.
Okay, all right. Love it. Cool. All right, tell the people how they can find you online, how they can find Wombwork, and donate if possible. Can I explain where you're located and where you like to live online first before I ask you the final question?
Let's see. We're Wombworker on Facebook, www.wombwork.com. You at www.wombwork.org. You can catch us. You can get us on all of Facebook, Wombwork. You can catch us on all of that. I'm not really good at remembering all that stuff, but
We'll put the link to the show notes.
thank God. Thank God.
Yes, we do that, and people can donate right there on the site as well. Correct?
They can donate always, all the time. Please send us donations of some kind. And people have been very helpful. Giving Tuesday, people were very kind.
Yes.
And
good.
that was that's really great that they can help us. And we have 3 theater companies. We have one for the little children, Next Generation,
Yes.
the 5 to 12-year-olds, New Generation, the teen group. Do they need help? And New World Art Ensemble, our adult company.
Awesome.
And and then we're in all the schools. Many of the schools around the city and county, and then we do performances all around as well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. My brother and I, we got some donations coming for you, so keep an eye out for that. So we're
yay!
working on that. I just want to say thank you very much for being on the podcast. I appreciate it. We've been working on this for like a year and a half.
I know.
It's been an amazing conversation. I love you, first of all.
And all the
thank you.
foolishness.
Yes,
Make
we'll
me
keep all that in.
sound good.
You're going to sound wonderful. But, I just really appreciate it. Your journey is very inspiring. Of course, I've watched it since I was born, pretty much, so I can remember. So
That's
I've
beautiful.
seen you. So just thank you. Well loved. Keep going, because, you don't give up, and we don't give up. And we've had our fair share of challenges, So if there's any last minute words of wisdom or advice you'd like to give the people, I will always let my guests take us home. So I'll say thank you again and allow you to take us home.
Art is my healing force, and it is for so many. Whatever yours is, find it, hold on to it, elevate with it. Sending you love and healing light. Always, Mama K.
Thank you for listening to the Amani Experience podcast. You can check out the show notes on amaniexperience.com/podcast. Please remember to leave us a review on the platform you are listening on and share this podcast with anyone who you feel would benefit from listening. See you soon for our next episode.